Today I learned that homework was considered hugely controversial in the 1800s and early 1900s, when physicians crusaded against it. In 1901, California even banned homework for anyone under the age of 15. Today I learned a wife bought a scratch-off lottery ticket to prove a point to her husband that it was a waste of money, but it ended up winning her $1 million. Today I learned the term genuine leather isn't reassuring you that the item is made of real leather. It has an actual distinct grade of leather and is the second worst type of leather there is. Today I learned of the BS asymmetry principle. The amount of energy needed to refute BS is an order of magnitude bigger than to produce it. Today I learned that crows hold funerals and will avoid an area or thing that is deemed dangerous to their own species. In other words, they know what death is and know to fear it. Today I learned that in an attempt to enforce prohibition, the Prohibition Bureau began adding poison to industrial alcohol to prevent its consumption, killing between 10,000 and 50,000 people. This was supported by people like Wayne Wheeler, who argued that the victims had committed suicide by breaking the law. Today I learned that the United States Navy's submarine periscope controls used to cost $38,000, but were replaced by $20 box controllers. Today I learned that for the first 40 million years that woody trees were around, wood was not biodegradable until a fungus figured out how to rot it. Today I learned then 13-year-old Danielle Leahy, a Girl Scout in San Francisco, was the first Girl Scout to make news by selling cookies outside a marijuana dispensary. She sold 117 boxes in 2 hours. Today I learned that sodium citrate is the secret ingredient to make any cheese into smooth, creamy nacho cheese sauce. Coincidentally, sodium citrate's chemical formula is Na3C6H5O7, or nacho. Today I learned that instead of selling 6 shares for 610,000 yen, a trader sold 610,000 shares for 6 yen, which resulted in a $100 million loss for his company. Today I learned Danny Trejo was addicted to heroin by age 12 and served time in San Quentin prison until he was 25. He's now been over 70 films and has a brand of restaurants, bars, and donuts shops valued around $100 million. All his businesses hire what he calls second chances like he was. Today I learned a pig named Lulu saved her owner's life while the woman was having a heart attack. The pig heard the cries of pain, forced her way out of the yard, ran into the road and played dead to stop the traffic. A driver stopped. The pig led him to the trailer. He heard the woman and called 911. Today I learned a defendant in the UK called a judge a bit of a cunt and the judge replied with "You're a bit of a cunt yourself." Today I learned that naked mole rats can survive 18 minutes without oxygen and suffer no lasting effects. They achieve this feat by switching their metabolism to use fructose instead of glucose, something typically only done by plants. Today I learned that in 2015 a Canadian man broke into a home, fed the cats and horses, cooked a meal, did the laundry, wrote in the homeowner's diary and was apprehended sitting by a stoked fire while drinking a cup of tea. Today I learned Samsung accidentally issued 2,000 employees 1,000 shares of stock for 37 minutes before realizing the error. 16 employees sold during that time for approximately $9 million each. Today I learned in 2004, when asked about how he got the emails, addresses and pictures of so many people using Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg replied, "People just submitted it. I don't know why. They trust me. Dumb fox." Today I learned science shows that the egg came first, not the chicken. 1. The first egg was laid by a bird that was not a chicken. 2. The first amniotic, hard-shelled, egg laid on land was around 312 million years ago. Chickens are domesticated descendants of red jungler fowl from at most 8,000 years ago. Today I learned that flow is the mental state in which a person is completely absorbed in an activity, resulting in a loss of their sense of space and time. Today I learned that your brain is able to make a decision for you seconds before you become aware of the fact that you are making a decision. Today I learned that an MRI of a dog's brains show that they see owners as family and prioritize the smell of humans over everything. Today I learned in the 1880s, Many farmers communicated by connecting their phones to barbed wire fences. This process often allowed for up to 20 people to be connected at once. Everyone's phone would ring regardless of who called. And the invention helped many farmers overcome depression and loneliness. Today I learned that Japan is giving its elderly population discounts on ramen if they give up their driver's licenses. Today I learned that the NFL made a committee to falsify information to cover up brain damage in their players. Today I learned a Florida man used a cell phone jammer every day while traveling to work because he didn't want drivers around him to be distracted on their phones. As a result, he was fined $48,000 by the FCC. Today I learned that the ancient Egyptians used 12 months of exactly 30 days, with 5 days of festivities at the end to add up to 365. Today I learned if a beta male mandrill wins a fight, it physically morphs into an alpha male over time, gaining facial coloration, bigger testicles, and the ability to breed. Today I learned that in 2015, a Louisiana man was arrested for drunkenly riding a horse on a highway. When detained, he said, "The horse knows the way home," and the sheriff concluded it did not constitute DUI. Today I learned Frankie Muniz suffers from long-term memory loss and doesn't even remember being on Malcolm in the Middle. Today I learned that residents in Surabaya, Indonesia can pay for the bus with plastic waste instead of money. Paying with plastic will grant you with 2 hours of travel. The aim is to reduce plastic waste whilst getting more people to use public transport, thus lowering the number of cars on the road. Today I learned ants will refuse medical help from their colony if they know they are mortally wounded, rather than waste the colony's resources and energy on futile rehabilitation. The wounded ant flails its legs, forcing help to abandon them. Today I learned a service dog bit 911 into a cell phone after her owner collapsed from a seizure. She became the first canine recipient of the Vita Wireless Samaritan Award, given to someone who used a cell phone to save a life. Today I learned penguin poop will change Antarctica's ecosystem. For the last 5,000 years, penguins have delivered roughly 16 million pounds of nutrient-rich poop on the rocks of Antarctica. This poop can one day support plants and animals which currently can't survive in Antarctica. Today I learned it's only called an acronym when you pronounce the abbreviation as a real word, X, NASA. Otherwise it is known as an initialism, X, FBI. Today I learned that a man named Ronald McDonald robbed a Wendy's in 2005. Today I learned in Florida, executions are carried out by a private citizen who is paid $150 per execution. Today I learned that Washington DC police ran a fake hip hop studio to attract criminals and record proof of their illicit deals. Manic Enterprises made 70 arrests, snagged $7.2 million in cocaine, and confiscated 161 illegal weapons. Cops shut it down after they heard a gang planned on robbing the studio. Today I learned lack of personal hygiene and body smell is such an issue at Super Smash Bros tournaments that some tournaments now disqualify players not keeping up with hygiene and even resorted to passing out deodorant. Today I learned that in the 1980s, people living in the borders of forests in India and Bangladesh were issued plastic face masks to wear on the back of their heads. Tiger attacks virtually stopped because the tigers thought people were looking at them when their backs were turned. Today I learned raccoons in an experiment were able to open 11 of 13 locks in fewer than 10 tries and had no problems repeating the action when the locks were rearranged or turned upside down. They could also remember the solutions to tasks for 3 years. Today I learned that back in May 2016, in order to show the absurdities of software EULAs, the Norwegian Consumer Council did a live, word-by-word, non-stop reading of all of Apple's and third-party EULAs on an average iPhone. It took them over 32 hours. Today I learned if you publish a book in Norway, the government will buy 1,000 copies, 1,500 if a children's book, and distribute them to libraries throughout the country. Today I learned a theme park in France employ ravens to clear the park of cigarette butts in return for a reward, bird food. Today I learned there is a group of wolves in British Columbia known as sea wolves and 90% of their food comes from the sea. They have distinct DNA that sets them apart from interior wolves and they are entirely dedicated to the sea, swimming several miles every day in search of seafood.